Welcome into another episode of Behind the Wheel, sponsored by Bobby Rail Honda of State College. We are in one of their beautiful Honda Pilots today, driving around, comfortable ride. I am joined right here, the host of the obligatory pregame show, Chris Buchanani. Chris, thanks for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
I've never called you Chris before in my life. But
don't make a habit of it.
Yeah, I'm here with Booch today. Guys, we are going to talk a little bit of history of Penn State. I mean, this is one of the most hyped seasons in recent memory. So we said, let's recall some of the most hyped seasons and compare to this year. I think it's we got a couple in recent memory. I think we're mainly going to go 1799. We basically have the Penn State historian right here with us. So we're going to get into it. But Booch, let's just start off and just put it out there. You being around, do you think this is the most hyped season in recent memory for you?
Oh, yeah, no question. No question. I think you brought up the 99 team. I do think you have to go back to the 1999 preseason before you can find a time where the local, regional, and most importantly, the national hype around Penn State matches what we've seen this offseason.
I'm with you. I actually just I just saw the video of LeVar blocking the field goal against Pitt for the first time.
14 seconds. Here comes the 52-yarder, and it's blocked. Arrington putting the finishing touch on an amazing day of highs and lows for him and for Penn State. He comes back, almost intercepts twice, but he preserves the day for the Lions with a blocked field goal here.
In big games, big-time players make the plays. Arrington comes from 10 yards deep, does his 40-inch vertical jump, and gets a piece of the football.
I've never seen that.
Crazy game, and probably it had the footage of him getting into it with the Pitt punter.
Oh yeah, what was that? This dude just jacks up the Pitt punter and just like pile drives in the ground. Like what?
One of the tough things that happens when you're a punter is you don't expect for an All-American linebacker to look you up. LeVar has been told, don't let the punter make the play outside. All right, now he knocks down the punter. Might have been a clip. Sort of punches him in the head, lays on him. This kind of thing is going to be called. This guy's a very aggressive football.
I was in the stadium for that game. I was a student, actually, at that time, which is why it's not recent memory, okay? But I remember thinking, he's going to get kicked out. We're going to lose our best player because he got the toughest player in college football is getting thrown out of a rivalry game because he got in a fight with the punter. And thank God he didn't, because Penn State needed him at the end to avoid overtime.
Clearly, yeah, that was a big time. That was a big time win. So I guess let's just start out. Let's go 2017 first.
Yeah.
And I want to compare 2017 to this year. Where do you think it's different? Obviously, we know coming off that Big Ten championship win, it was like, all right, this is one of the seasons. Didn't get over the hump against Ohio State, kind of per usual. But what's the difference for you comparing 2017 to 2025?
Well, first of all, let's talk about why it doesn't match up to, let's use 99 as the example in terms of the hype leading into it. I think there were a couple of factors. First of all, 2016, that season came completely out of the blue for everyone, including Penn State fans. And so I think justifiably, based on where Penn State had been recently, prior to the 2016 Big Ten title run, there's a question of how real is what James Franklin seems to be putting together there in Happy Valley? How much will that translate into another season? And look, the national analysts, they're not dumb, not all of them. They're keeping track of the talent coming in via the recruiting pipeline. And I think that there was an understanding that for as dynamic as Joe Moorhead's offense was, as well as James Franklin had recruited, and as exciting as players like Saquon Barkley and Trace McSorley were, there were other teams at the very top of the sport that hadn't been coming out of scandal and sanctions and had been clicking on all cylinders for years. So there was an understanding that Penn State probably looked like they were ready to get into the mix, but they were not among the 3 or 4 favorites. And so I think there was an understanding all around, hey, 14 playoff, Penn State just misses the cut, maybe unfairly, the previous year. They're bringing back so much talent. They're more experienced. Now they understand that Moorhead offense, which they kind of struggled with early on in the 2016 season. Now it's going to be year 2 under the offensive coordinator, just like we have now. It's going to be a really good team. I don't think at any point anyone nationally, certainly, looked at Penn State and said this is one of the 2 or 3 favorites for the national title. And then from an on-field perspective, I think it just carries forward from what I just said. The roster depth was not there. There was great top-end talent, but when you talk about a team having to keep its stars fresh and be able to weather injury, maybe they just didn't have the starting caliber talent waiting in the 2 deep. And then the other thing, just to be straight up, and you can probably guess what I'm going to say, it's the offensive line. The difference between what Penn State had at the line of scrimmage in 2017 and what they have coming back this year, which could be one of the special offensive lines in the history of the program, a chance to do, I think, legitimately. I've been talking about it a lot, something really, really cool that rarely happens. The 94 line didn't do it. Put 5 starters on the field who all end up as NFL draft picks. That's night and day. That to me is the biggest difference.
Shout out Philip Troutwine. I just recently had him on.
No joke.
He is the man that did this. I still talk about it after that, not to bring it up, but the 2020 Maryland game, and I'll never forget, we gave up like 7 sacks. That was probably almost, I would say that's the all-time low maybe of the 2020s, even to start it off. And I remember him calling me, and he was like, I'm going to get this right. Like, we're going to fix this. Trust in me. Don't decommit or anything. I'm like, look, I ain't going anywhere else. I'm not going to Maryland. So I'm like, whether you're actually going to do it or not is to be seen. But I'm with you. But damn it, he did it, and he did it in a lot of ways, and he deserves a lot of credit. So you're right about that.
Well, going back to the disappointment of that 2017 team, it was pretty clear, I thought, that truly probably the Achilles heel of the squad was an inability to assert themselves at the line of scrimmage on offense when they absolutely needed it. And it's a credit to Phil that through the first several years of the rebuild under James Franklin, after things really turned the corner in 2016, O-line was a problem area. Now it's been a strength of the team for several years running. I think it will continue to be. But I think about, not to rub salt in the wound, Penn State fans, but it is what it is. Blowing that lead at Ohio State that year, part of the problem is you couldn't salt away the game by getting first downs in the first quarter. And that was just couldn't get a push at the line of scrimmage. And I think also as the season wore on, there were some teams, like Rutgers in particular, they knew they had no chance to win the game, but they were going to maybe try to keep Saquon Barkley from getting invited to the Heisman Trophy ceremony, and we couldn't do anything about it. So, again, offensive line from 17 to now, night and day.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I'm surprised I probably talked too much about it these past couple of months, but I always like to bring up the Will Fries, Chase Young. I mean, Chase Young was just a thorn in our side. I mean, he just wreaked havoc on us. And like I said, just watching Saquon, I mean, I put out a tweet a couple of weeks ago, and I said, who would you want to bring back the most from any Penn State roster for this year? I think reasonably a lot of people were saying defensive tackle, a Jimmy Kennedy, Paul Posluszny, an Allen Robinson, maybe even a Kenny Jackson. But I had some people say, as much as we have Nick and Katron, that's awesome. I want to see Saquon behind this offensive line, just for fun. I don't think that's the right pick, but imagine Saquon Barkley, the 2017 Saquon Barkley behind this year's offensive line.
Yeah, I don't think it's the right pick, quote unquote, either. But yeah, I mean, I think we just saw what it would look like with the Philadelphia Eagles last season.
Good point. That's a very good point. It was fun to watch the Eagles play.
I know this is a little off topic, but since I brought up the Eagles, I do think, and you've been talking about it a lot on your channel, it is a super intriguing possibility, looking at this year's offensive line, to do exactly what Philly did with Mekhi Becton, which is take kind of a natural tackle who can play guard and just put your best 5 on the field. I do love that idea of letting Nick and Katron run behind a line that's got Venga Ioane on one side of Nick Dawkins and Anthony Donka on the other. I want to see that.
It's a beautiful idea. By the time this is out, you'll already seen I did a little film breakdown comparing Anthony Donko. I looked at it brought up his guard tape from 2023. So he came here and actually played guard originally.
Yep.
So, has played tackle really well, but I think you're right. It's about your best 5, and Phil Troutwine even said that. So, no, that's a great point about the offensive line. Booch, take me back to 99 real quick.
Yeah.
I was still a twinkle in my dad's eye. I was born in 02. What? Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry for you guys watching, too.
Yeah, it's all good.
What was going on? Like, was it, like you said, 2017, it was thought we're going to be really good, but I don't know if we're going to make the 14 playoff. 99 was like, we're going to win the national championship, right? I mean.
Oh, I was convinced. My junior year, and I was going to see a national championship team. And this is why Penn State had 2 of the top talents in college football. Guys who went 1 and 3 in the NFL draft in Courtney Brown and LeVar Arrington. I remember LeVar was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. We were their #1 preseason team for the second time in 3 years, actually. We were their #1 team in 97, too.
Right.
But they ran an article in that issue, players the NFL wants right now, and Courtney Brown and LeVar Arrington were both there. And those guys were both unbelievable. I mean, for as good as Abdul Carter was last year, that was like what Courtney Brown did as a pass rusher, 98, 99. And LeVar, was just a freak athlete in a category all by himself. So those 2 guys were the headliners. But really, there was a ton of talent on that defense. They had a stud at every level of that D, and David Macklin as a corner. And they were bringing essentially the entire defense back from the previous year. And so I think college football was a little bit different than it is now. It was easier to win with defense first as a national title contender than it maybe is now. You still got to play great defense, but everyone has to have a really dynamic offense if you want to be a national championship contender in the 2020s. Back then, I think people looked at it and they saw the formula that Joe had used to win the 86 title and that he had undefeated seasons with throughout his career in the 60s and the 70s. And they said, okay, the foundation is there. 2 absolute transcendent superstar talents, a lot of other great players on that defense. You had Justin Kirpakis, you had a great linebacking core. Brandon Short was on that team along with Mac Morrison. At safety, you had Scary Adams, James Boyd, a lot of great players. Penn State is going to be able to just suffocate teams defensively and make plays. They're going to be able to score points on defense. These guys are so good. And Courtney and LeVar both did that in the same game versus Drew Brees and Purdue. And the offense, like the defense, not as strong, but has some real star talent and is bringing everybody back.
Who's the quarterback that year?
Kevin Thompson.
Kevin Thompson.
In fact, that season, Penn State also had on the roster another quarterback by the name of Richard Casey, who was like one of the true early dual threat guys at Penn State. Penn State didn't recruit a lot of dual threat quarterbacks back in that era, but they wanted to try to become more dynamic on offense. And so Joe actually played them both throughout the 99 season, which was not usual for him at all. Thompson, absolutely your traditional stand in the pocket Penn State quarterback, as you imagine from the 80s and the early 90s. And Richard was more like something you might see in a, latter day kind of Jay Paterno, Darryl Clark, Michael Robinson mold, or what we've done under Moorhead with Trace McSorley. And so they switched off. And what happened with that team, Landon, was the rationale I just laid out. Returning talent, superstars on defense. You don't have to be world beaters offensively because you're going to be able to stifle teams with that great defense. It all held up. But again, was the depth there? Was the offensive line play there? And I do think the pressure got to that team. I talked about all the returning talent from 98. I think if you go back and you watch the 98 defensive tape, they maybe played a little bit better the year prior. And it was maybe the weight of the expectations, maybe how much was put on them, because oftentimes the offense wasn't pulling its weight.
Right.
But you got to homecoming, the 10th game of the season, 9th game of the season, and 9th or 10th, I don't know, I can't remember. It's
Just a little bit ago.
It was a little while ago. Anyway, we were undefeated, and Minnesota came to town, and they beat us on a last-second field goal, and it was heartbreaking. And back then, and folks will see if they watch the For the Bloggy YouTube channel I just did, talking about going from 94 to 95 with Brandon Noble. With that 95 team, when they got their first loss, kind of the same thing. If you lost one game, you were pretty much out of the national title hunt, unless you got some help. And so they lost their last 3 games.
Oh.
They lost to Minnesota, and then they lost at home to Tom Brady in Michigan, who they should have beaten, and then lost at the end of the year to Michigan State. And I think it was just because the disappointment was so deflating after all of that hype and all of that buildup. And it was another one of those seasons like this one will be, where it was all or nothing because you knew that talent was out the door at the end of the year. And that's one luxury that modern teams have, that if they lose one game, you ask Ohio State from last season, even 2, even if it's your biggest rivalry game. As long as you put yourself in a position to make the postseason tournament, you got a fresh start. But that was 99, not a fun time.
Yeah, no, clearly not. So, I mean, I guess what I'm hearing
It was
from you...
fun for a while.
Yeah, it sounds like for the beginning, I'm sure the parties were great on campus. Everybody was having a good time.
Yes.
So, what I'm hearing, the biggest difference is knowing this 2025 roster. I think kind of it's agreed through and through, so you can debate the head coach, and there might be a couple out there, but we have the best coordinator combo there is. We have some of the best position coaches around, and I think this might be the most balanced Penn State has been in the 2000s. I mean, in this quarter century so far.
Oh, I think you have to go way back before that.
I mean, 94 wasn't balanced at all. I mean, when was the last time Penn State was this balanced?
It's a great question that I've been asking myself the answer to recently. And I think the 2 Big Ten champion teams from the mid-2000s, 08 and 05 were pretty balanced. I think maybe it tilted more towards the offense in 2008. 05 was a really balanced team. Both sides of the ball pulled their weight. And then prior to that, when I think about great teams that really have terrific balance, really the 2002 team that had a lot of close losses and could have easily won 11 games if a few things went differently, and had Larry Johnson going for 2,000 yards and multiple stars on defense, guys who went in the first and second round of the NFL draft. They were pretty balanced. Then you go all the way back to 82. So this has a chance to be a team that, even for a program as historically distinguished as Penn State, really stands out in program history, which is what's exciting.
Yeah, I don't know if there's never been this much excitement. I think where we sit, I think we have a potential top 5 matchup against Oregon in week 5.
Yeah.
And then if everything goes right, Ohio State beats Texas week 1, we beat Oregon, we go to Columbus week 10, the day after Halloween. It could be 1 versus 2 in Columbus. You see me getting chills? I mean, it's there. It's never, it feels like every year we say it's the biggest game, it's the biggest season for James Franklin. But I mean, it's really there now. And I feel like if we don't get it done this year, well, let me ask you this. What is get it done this year? Is it natty? Are you natty or bust, Booch?
Oh, we just did an entire obligatory podcast on this very topic. And I was really alone on the panel as saying, I was the only one who said, if this team with this talent, these circumstances, because it's not just players who are going to be out the door, I think a lot of the assistants on this staff are going to get offers that are going to be really hard to turn down in the offseason.
Agreed.
If you don't seize this opportunity, that is a tragic failure. You got to at least make the national championship game. You got to, on paper, exceed what last year's team did.
I'm right there with you. I think depends how the game goes. I think if you lose the national championship, I mean, obviously that's a heartbreaker. But
you got a chance to win it on the field.
Yes, you have a chance.
That's
exactly.
what I want.
But I'm with you. I think if we lose at all, even in the semifinals, I think you're right. I think it's a disappointment. I think we have the best offensive line in college football. I think we have the best running back duo. We have a Heisman potential quarterback, and then a defense that I think it's the first time that we've had. Maybe the offense is better. See how the wide receivers pan out. I think we got still a fantastic tight end room, but a defense that has a ton of talent. I mean, Tony Rojas coming off of an injury that I think was really kind of hampering him a little bit and really just hurt his confidence. And then you just look around, Zane Durant and Dennis Sutton, two guys that could be some of the best defenders in all of college football. Zakee Wheatley is just a maniac, I think, with Jim Knowles at the helm. Zakee Wheatley could be looking at if he has the year that we think he could be a first, second round talent. So A.J. Harris, too, could be the first cornerback ever taken in the first round for Penn State in the history of Penn State football.
So Joey Porter Jr. is the first pick of the second round. By the way, in a year when the first round got shaved down by one pick because the Dolphins got their first round pick taken away, it's almost comical.
It is, yeah. Joey Porter, he's the 32nd pick, but still the second round. So I'm with you, Booch. Saying all that to say, it's now or never. Go, like you said, 2026, we're gonna take a little bit, I think, of a step backwards. It is a very favorable schedule. We won't look ahead, but we don't play any juggernauts really. I don't know. It's gonna be a fun season. Let's win it all. And the best part about it is, if we do drop Ohio State, if we do drop Oregon, probably still won't go into the playoffs. I mean, that's kind of the best part about all of it.
That's right. Joe used to love to quote John Wooden, success is never final, failure is never fatal, and that is never been truer in college football than it is now. Now, you really need, in my opinion, to get one of those quote-unquote big game wins in the regular season this year. But my advice to folks, having seen great Penn State seasons come out of the blue and seeing, like 99, really big hyped ones that were guaranteed to be championship runs go completely belly up, take it a week at a time. Just enjoy Happy Valley when it is in one of these falls. I mean, it is magical, man. You can feel the energy around town already. So don't try to speed up to the whiteout. Just enjoy it week to week. Drink in all the preseason content on Landon's channel and on the For the Bloggy YouTube channel.
Amen.
And just thank God we're all Nittany Lions.
Amen, Booch. You couldn't said it any better myself. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll definitely have Booch on the channel throughout, and I'm sure I will I'm doing my weekly film breakdowns on the For the Blog YouTube channel, and I know I will make my obligatory pregame show appearances as well. So can't wait for it. Booch, thank you for joining me. Once again, thank you to Bobby Rail Honda of State College for sponsoring this video, letting us drive around in this beautiful Honda Pilot. Appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.
What's up, brother?